Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Theoni with Thrifty Divas. It's 6:30 a.m. I apologize for the hat and everything. I am inside, but I'm in the sunroom, so it's like being half outside and it's really cold. So I wanted to, and I'm smoking a cigarette and drinking my coffee because I have to multitask, so just giving everybody a heads up. I'll cover it anytime I inhale. If you've ever seen me do it, I go like this. Anyway. So I've been wanting to get on here for a while, kind of partake in Vlogmas, but not really because I'm not doing a whole month. I just wanted to do one. If you guys saw my Friendmail opening from Mel on my birthday, and I was kind of like really like overwhelmed with emotion. And I know a lot of you care and are awesome, so I kind of wanted to come on here and just like give sort of updates and kind of vent, and I hope I don't cry because I'm too tired and I have a headache and I don't want to cry. It's gonna make it worse. But so yesterday was the 15th of December, and then I started like thinking about the past year. So last December 15th was the date of my law school graduation party. Directly thereafter, I started studying for the bar for 9 straight weeks, 14 hours a day. For 9 straight weeks, I actually sat right in this chair at this little table. Side note, one of my best friends that I studied for the bar with, just emotionally, we were never actually together, although we would FaceTime for like 7 hours on end sometimes, going over essays. But she came for my son's birthday back in October, and it was the first time she saw my house. And she's like, show me where you were when you studied for the bar and where, you know, where we FaceTimed and stuff. And I showed her my little chair and my table in here. And she's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, that's the magic spot. So studied for that, then took it, I think it was February 26th and 27th, spent 2 nights in New York City, in Harlem, took it there. I was still teaching at the time too, and then in April I found out I passed. In May that semester ended, and then the middle of May was my actual graduation at school because they only had 1 a year. So then I had my graduation, and then I was able to take a short 5-day vacation to kind of celebrate everything and decompress at the end of July. Then shortly thereafter, I applied for the job, found out I got it, like the first week of August, and then they said you're starting September 3rd, and then here we are. So let me just first let me kind of explain the job. I think that's kind of the root of it all. So for those of you who don't know, I decided to go work for legal aid, the Legal Aid Society of my county. So I'm a criminal defense attorney. We were a training class of 10 that they hired all together, and it was just training in another building that's kind of right across the street from the court building. The normal offices for legal aid are in the court building. So we would be there morning and night, morning and afternoon in the training room in the other building, doing, you know, learning a whole bunch of other stuff. And then about 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, things changed drastically. They had us over in court every day, daytime, and then after lunch they want us back in the training room. So that itself is hard because we're kind of going back and forth every day, which does not allow us to partake in a lot of the meetings or trainings that go on in court because we are ordered, no matter what, above all else, you be back in the other building for the afternoon, no matter what anybody else tells you. So then we have like, bosses in that building and bosses in the court building kind of like fighting over power, and we're in the middle and we're like, who do we listen to? But this job is very rough. It's rough. They say being an attorney in general is very rough, especially like if you're not a prosecutor, right? It's like a kind of different beast if you're a prosecutor, but attorneys have twice the substance abuse, alcohol and substance abuse issues than the general population do. They've increased rates of depression. They've increased rates of suicide, as other professions do as well, but this is just one of them. And the studies are all out there. I remember my first day of law school. We didn't even start yet. It was, what do they call it? When you get accepted, like orientation. We had like a week-long orientation, and I remember one of the first days of orientation, they actually handed us pamphlets talking about how attorneys have an increased rate, double the rate of substance abuse as the general population. And I'm like, is this real life? Like, first day of orientation. I'm like, awesome. And then it listed all the support, things that they have for that. So it's just very stressful. And I have found that being a legal aid attorney has even more stresses that come along with it, and more challenges than just being a private defense attorney, for sure. We get treated very, very differently. Not only by our clients, it starts with our clients. Luckily, my clients have been awesome, and they like me and I like them, and we're fine. But I know it's only a matter of time because everybody warned us, and some of my colleagues in my training class have had it happen to them already. But where your clients, they're like, I want a real attorney, you're legal aid, like, and then they've told us you're just supposed to turn around to them and be like, you want to pay for one? Because you're more than welcome to go pay for one. And, and then they're like, oh, you're legal aid? And then it's like, no, I'm an attorney that works for legal aid. I am your attorney. And I actually did have a conversation with one client. She's like, oh, I've been trying to get my own, private attorney, because she's like, not to be disrespectful, but, people think that, legal aid don't like take it as seriously because they don't get paid as much. And I was like, well, we're here because we want to be. So think of that. Like, we could go anywhere. We're not here because we have to be. But a lot of clients tend to think that we're there because we have to be, because I don't know what they think, like nobody else will hire us or something. I don't know. But I guess they're thinking, like, why on earth would you want to be here when you could go make more money somewhere else? But it's not only the clients. The clients are the least of the problem. The judges in the court building, which there's nothing you can do about, right? They're the judges. The judges in that particular district court, like, not all of them, but there's definitely a select few, and they're known for it. They treat legal aid attorneys differently than the private defense attorneys that come in there. To give you an example, some of the courtrooms, they require you to put in a slip of appearance. Other courtrooms don't. They just let you get online, basically, and you just go and call your cases in line. But the courtrooms that have the slips of appearance, the clerks in those courtrooms, probably by order of the judge, will put the legal aid slips all the way to the end of the line, and they'll take all the private attorneys first, no matter when they actually got there or showed up. I was in one of those courtrooms for a few days, and I would put in my slip, and I'm not kidding, I sat there for 2 hours. 2 hours waiting while private defense attorneys just showed up and put in their slip and got called immediately. And the clerk just kind of saved the legal aid attorney slips for the end. Then, even some of the court officers will treat legal aid attorneys differently as well. I got yelled at by a court officer the other day, and it sucks because, like, when you're assigned to a courtroom, which I am, like, you don't move around. This is your courtroom. And the court officers, they're assigned to the courtroom too, so they don't change either. What we do is you look through your files, and then you, like, softly call somebody's name. You know, you're like, John Smith. And you see if they're sitting there in the audience. And if they're sitting in the audience, you point out, like, outside right away so they can go meet you outside. Every attorney does this. Every legal aid attorney, every private attorney. That's just what you do. How else are you going to find them, right? So I had a client the other day who also barely spoke any English. He needed an interpreter, and I knew that because it was on the file. But I said his name very, to the audience. I said, John Smith. Waiting. Nobody budged, nobody moved, nothing. So I turned back around to the table to pick up another file. Apparently, when I had turned around, my client had, like, stood up kind of confused and was about to walk into the well, like, past the little gates, which you're not allowed to do. So the court officer yelled at him, then yelled at me. Yells at me, and he goes, you can't do that. You can't be calling people's names like that, because then they're going to think they have to follow you when they come inside. He's like, you have to come in here and whisper their names and bring them outside. Like, whatever. Like, see, and I know he wouldn't have yelled at a private attorney like that. I would bet my life on that one. And not to mention, the guy was more confused than ever because he barely spoke English, okay? Just stuff like that. I get yelled at by a lot of my bosses. My judge doesn't take the bench till like 9:40, right? So I get to work at 9 o'clock. I had a case that I knew was on, and I needed to run a DMV abstract on him. So I went to the investigator, got the DMV abstract because I wanted to see what was up. And the investigator was talking to me. Now, mind you, I'm not the only one in the courtroom. We have like 3 legal aid attorneys in my courtroom. Fine. The judge is not going anywhere. He's there at least until lunch. So the investigator's talking to me, and one of my bosses walks by as we're talking. She goes, you need to get down to court. It's 10 o'clock. Yelled at me like a child. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get an abstract to do my job well. You know what I'm saying? But okay. Just stuff like that. Like, nobody wants to be yelled at all day long. We just don't. The salary's low. Salary's very low. Okay? Luckily, I'm off of Medicaid now. I actually have private insurance, but along with private insurance comes copays out of nowhere. I'm like, what is this? I know. I've joined the masses, or for the most part. Also, at my job, we have unlimited sick days, in quotes, but you need a doctor's note, like a child. So even when I'm sick and I know it's a horrible cold, that there's nothing that can be done, or I'm already on antibiotics and then I get something new while I'm on antibiotics, so it's viral, which happens to me all the time, you still have to go to the doctor to get a note. This is a $30 copay on my insurance. So with the little money we're making, I'm paying for insurance. It's a great rate, they pay a lot of it, so it's good. But then you got to spend money to get the note. Just things like that. I also, taught college for 15 years before this, if you don't know. So I haven't worked a Friday in 15 years because my classes were Monday, Wednesday, and Tuesday, Thursday. My mom's always off on Fridays too because she's a college professor too. So this is a huge adjustment for me. And being a professor, My husband the other day tells me, he's like, I sat back and thought about it. Because my husband had his own business before he became a school bus driver. And he's like, I thought about it. And you're kind of like me. When you were a professor, you were kind of like, almost like your own boss. And now you went and worked for other people. So you're kind of having the same adjustment that I did. And I'm like, yeah. I had a boss when I was a professor, but nobody looked in on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did my own thing. I made my own lesson plans. I said whatever I wanted to say when I taught. I designed my own tests. Like, I was my own boss for the most part. I would say hi to my boss in the morning. Good morning. And that was that. But this is like different. So having a 2-day weekend is nuts to me. Again, I know. I'm not complaining. I know the majority of the world does this. It's just very new to me. And it is a huge adjustment that I don't know if I can get accustomed to. Then another thing, I'm on a specified specialized team in court, and it's the team I wanted, so I'm happy. But I am on the DWI team, which is the one I wanted. And I wanted it for several reasons. One, I get to use my science background, which I enjoy. Secondly, I know what I'm getting. I don't have to worry about any cases that might disturb me. I don't have to get any animal abuse cases. I don't have to get any endangering the welfare of a child, anything involving children, stuff like that. So I knew what I was getting. But because I'm on a specialized team, I have my own challenges as well. That the other people, I'm the only one out of the 10 in my training group that got put on the DWI team. And it's supposed to be kind of an honor. But I have to go to the state DMV building, like about once a week, one morning a week, and the schedule rotates, to go do DWI refusal hearings, where you cross-examine the cops. And this is when people don't blow at the breathalyzer at the station. So that's another thing thrown in. You have to prepare for refusal hearings, go cross-examine cops. It's one of the reasons why the DWI team is supposed to be an honor, because I'm doing hearings nonstop where people on other teams from my training class won't see a hearing for a while. So I'm getting really good cross-examination experience. Then there's also Babylon Village Court. It's like an outlying village court that apparently we take turns doing on some afternoons too. I'm not ready to do that by myself because I have no background in it, but eventually that's going to be thrown into the rotation as well. And when you have DMV or other things like that, people have to cover your cases for you. So then you're missing out on stuff. It's kind of, I don't know. It's just really stressful. Now, let me tell you about actually working in the court and being part of the court building, which is very different than a private attorney. So arraignments are open 365 days a year because people commit crimes 365 days a year and they have to be arraigned. And, so they're open every major holiday, every weekend, all of that. So some people, and it's on a rotation as well, worked Thanksgiving Day, they will work Christmas Day, they will work New Year's Day, they will work 4th of July, they work Saturdays, they work Sundays. So you're having a 6-day week, you're having a 7-day week. You don't get paid extra. You get a comp day, and a comp day is, you save them up to try to get a vacation. And I went back and I talked to one of my mentors at law school. I was so upset and so fed up. Last week, I think it was, or the week before. I was sick last week. Went and talked to my clinic director from law school, because my law school's right there near the court. And I went and talked to her, and I was actually crying in her office. And, I told her, I was and I don't want to work Christmas Day and stuff. And she goes, yeah. She goes, this job's not for you. She goes, I mean, somebody's got to do it. She goes, but this job's not for you. And I was crying in her office. Oh, I don't want to cry right now. And she just kept hugging me. And she's like, I'm so sorry. You're so unhappy. But and then, so let me tell you the blow that happened before that. My school used to have an incubator program, which I wanted to do since I started school, and then I like forgot about it. So I was like talking to my mom, and I'm like, oh, the incubator. So what the incubator was it was a separate building from my school that was filled with all experienced attorneys, and it only held 10, graduated students in addition to those attorneys. You had your own space. You had to pay rent, and it was basically preparing you to open up your own firm, solo. So you had to do your own advertising, get your own clients, pay your own rent. And it was great though, because you had all these experienced attorneys there. So if you got a case that came in, say an immigration case that you didn't know much about, you could find an immigration attorney that was right there, and they could guide you through it. So you would learn. You could stay there for 18 months. And then after 18 months, they set you free to go fly. So that's why I had initially gone to one of my mentors at law school. I sat down, I said, talk to me about the incubator. And her face changed immediately, and I knew. And I was like, it's gone. And she's like, yeah, it disbanded the December that you graduated. So I was like, oh, great. So then that option was gone, I just don't know what to do. And I can't go solo because I need the experience. I can't go work at like a private firm or big law, God forbid, because especially when you're a brand new associate, you'll be working. Let's not even talk about what you'll be working. My best friend, the one that I was talking about studying for the bar with, she's at big law right now, and she works from like 8 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. And if you stay past 8, they give you dinner. They give you a free car service home. She's like 26. You know what I'm saying? Like, good for you. Like, I'd probably be doing it if I was single and 26 as well, but I'm not, and I'm old. I'm not old, but I'm not young, and I think I look younger than I am, but I could be wrong. But I've had a career. I'm tired. Like, I'm tired. So to be doing stuff like this, and I have a toddler, and I wanted something a little more normal, but it's just been really tough. And something's got to change. I would much rather, like, I don't know. I wish I married for money. Don't we all? Like, I would much rather stay home and spend time with my son. And that's the other thing. With the little money I make, $1,100 a month goes to daycare. I wanted a job so I could finally take some burden off my mom, who pays so many of my bills and does what she calls financial acrobatics to make it all happen every month. And I wanted to be able to finally free her up. I'm not. I pay my car payment now, and I'm gonna put oil in my oil tank today. And I pay the $1,100 for daycare, and it's a long commute. I drive an hour to work, an hour and a half back. So I spend a lot on gas too. It's like, I don't know, man. What is it all for? I don't know. I don't know. It's just a really, really difficult spot. And it kind of affects everything I do, Everybody's talking about Christmas break, and I'm like, what break? I have Christmas Day off, and for that I'm fortunate. I'm hosting Christmas Eve. As you guys know, I work Christmas Eve. I don't know what time I'll be home. And then I got to get everything ready and, drive the hour and a half back and get everything ready. And it'll probably be a shorter commute because nobody's on the road because everybody's off. That's how it was the day after Thanksgiving, too. I'm like, look at this, not a single car on the road because everybody's off. except for me. we went out. We went out on Thanksgiving. Did I just say that? The day after Thanksgiving is what I meant. I don't know what I said. I'm not lighting another one. It just went out. What was I gonna say? Oh, so we're sitting at the Thanksgiving table. We all went out for Thanksgiving, and I'm the only one at the table of 12 of my family members who worked the next day. The only one. It's just, I don't know. It's just rough. Oh, and then one more thing. Let me just tell you one more thing, and then I'll get off here. And I gotta go shower too, and get the baby up. So then I got really upset because I also feel like a lot of people in my family don't, not all of them, but they don't respect what I do or who I am or the work it's taken to get here. We went out to dinner when my aunt was visiting from Texas, and one of my uncles is moving to Greece in a year or two, or they're planning to retire there. They're taking an early retirement. So they have to they're going to sell their house. I'm like, "Oh, when are you putting your house on the market?" So then he goes, he tells me when, and I'm like, "You going to let me list it?" And he's like, "No." And then he's like, "Why? Are you an agent?" I said, "No, I'm a broker." Because when you're an attorney, you become a broker. You just have to fill out the paperwork. I was like, "No, I'm a broker." And then he's like, "Yeah, no." He's like, "I'm giving it to a 25-year veteran." Well, with this condescending, and I was like, "Yeah, family over everything." And I got pissed off and I walked out to smoke a cigarette. Just so belittling and insulting. You know what I'm saying? And he threw in some other comments. "This is our life. This is our livelihood. We're going to support." Oh, yeah, I would screw you. And not to mention, he had tried to hook me. Oh, and then, I'm sorry. I said, "Oh, the realtor that you tried to hook me up with and that never called me back." After he goes, "When did you buy a house?" What? I'm like, 3 years ago, the one I live in now. And he's like, "Oh." I'm like, "Yeah, she never called me back. We spoke on the phone. I told her everything I wanted, and she never called me back." So the other thing is his mistake right there. Not only would I not screw you because it's family, I'm desperate, which makes me a beast. That's the way it goes. The way I know life. When you're desperate, you work for it and you're a beast and you make it happen. This chick, a 25-year veteran, which I highly doubt, by the way. I've seen her picture and I talked to her on the phone and she sounds like she's 12. I don't think she's a 25-year veteran unless she started when she was 15, which maybe. I don't think so, though. So I was very insulted. And then my mom, being my mom, we get home and she's like, "You really upset him. He was so upset." I said, "He was upset?" I was like, "What about me? Does anybody ever give a damn about me? He upset me." And she's like, "Well, how? This is his life, Theoni, I said, "That's fine." No, and then my mom goes, "He promised the house to that woman a year ago." I said, "That's fine." And he could have said that. "No, I promised it to somebody a year ago. Sorry." Fine. He did not do that. He insulted me. He insulted my ability. He just thinks of me as a joke. And that's why, that's part of why, on that Friendmail video that I did on my birthday, when I broke down and I said that I feel like you guys who don't even really know me in real life, just give more weight to what I do on a daily basis, or you know what I'm saying? And then you have family who's "Thank you. First of all, when did I buy a house? What are you talking about right now?" He knows I bought a house, but just so far removed that they don't even care. And then to insult me on top of it. Whatever. And my mom, she's like, "Well, the truth is she sold more houses than you." I'm like, "That's fine. Whatever. And I've handled more DWIs than her. Whatever." But anyway, so I'm in a tough spot. I don't know. I want to go solo. I don't have the experience to do so yet, and I miss teaching. I love teaching so much. I originally got this law degree in the first place because I was hoping it would help me get a full-time teaching position more locally. And I actually had an interview the day after I found out I passed the bar at the institution that I worked at for 13 of those 15 years. And it was my third time applying for a full-time position at that institution, and I still didn't get it. And I was just broken. Just broken. That's all I wanted, you know? So I had to go do something else. I couldn't BS adjunct and have a life, you know? I had a full-time position upstate. I loved it. Loved the job, loved the people, loved the students, but I couldn't take it up there. I was very, very depressed, and I was all alone, and it was very dark and cold and snowed every day, and I had to make the hard decision to come back and adjunct again. So that's where I'm at. I just wanted to share it with you guys. And I gotta figure out like what to do, and I don't know. I would much rather be home and spending time with my son more and doing things around my house and crafting, baking. That would be nice. But I know it's not realistic. But maybe something in the middle. I don't know. But, so that's it for me. Gotta go shower. So thank you all for spending this long ass time with me again, half an hour. But I just wanted to, I've been saying I'm gonna do it for a while, and a lot of you ask and stuff, so I just wanted to let you guys know everything. So that's everything. And that'll be my one Vlogmas, because I think that takes up the whole month. So until the next video, stay blessed, everybody. Thank you for watching, and I love each and every one of you, and I'll see you very, very soon.